Computers are more convincingly humans than humans are. I want you to just take a second and really let that sink in. That's a profound observation from Stanford Professor Michal Kosinski. And honestly, it really captures how we're standing right at the edge of a fundamental shift in reality. A reality where the line between biological intelligence and artificial reasoning isn't just blurring anymore, it is being actively crossed.
So let's dive into this. Welcome to today's Explainer. We're going to unpack the hidden realities of the artificial intelligence that, let's face it, we're all already using every single day. We're going to take a journey into the absolute mechanics of this disruption, decode the science of how machines are actually modeling the human mind, and uncover exactly why the biggest tech companies in the world are so hesitant to admit what they've actually built.
Here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll uncover the AGI secret. Then we'll get into modeling the human mind and explore superhuman perception. After that, we'll talk about why big tech hides AGI, dive into automated science and language, and finally wrap up with the true existential threats. Okay, starting off with section 1, the AGI secret, the normalization of magic.
You know, it's actually fascinating how quickly human beings can take something utterly impossible and just make it mundane. Think about it. In the 80s, a smartphone would have literally been considered magic. Today, it's just a piece of glass in our pocket. Well, we have that exact same blind spot going on with AI right now. For 70 years, Alan Turing's famous Turing Test was the ultimate impossible standard for artificial intelligence. The rule was super simple. If a machine can fool a human into thinking it's human, it possesses true intelligence. Well, AI recently outcompeted humans at this test, but instead of stopping in our tracks in awe, society just kind of shrugged, shifted the goalposts, and moved on. We completely normalized the magic.
Section 2, modeling the human mind, going beyond the stochastic parrot.
So we really need to shatter this popular myth that AI is just a quote-unquote stochastic parrot that's mindlessly regurgitating training data. The reality goes so much deeper, right into something psychologists call theory of mind. Basically, this is our instinctive human ability to predict what other brains are thinking and feeling. It's how we see the world through someone else's perspective. For the longest time, we thought this was uniquely, exclusively human. But Kosinski actually tested large language models on this exact psychological concept, and wow, the results absolutely demand our attention. Here is the crazy mechanism at play here. Large language models are designed with one incredibly simple proxy task: just predict the next word. But humans use language to convey insanely complex processes. If you train a machine to predict the next word of a reasoning genius, the machine cannot just guess. It's mathematically impossible to be accurate that way. To succeed, the AI inherently must learn to model reasoning itself. Actually, scratch that, it goes further. It has to model empathy. So this simple, basic task of predicting a word inadvertently births highly complex cognitive capabilities.
Which brings us to section 3, superhuman perception, processing the world differently.
Now, as these models develop this human-like reasoning, we really can't forget that they aren't constrained by biology like we are. When we read a book, it is strictly linear. We ingest a story letter by letter, word by word. But AI does not read linearly at all. It can simultaneously ingest millions of tokens at the exact same time. It's literally reading an entire massive library of books in one single instantaneous parallel process.
Let's make that abstract idea a bit more concrete. Kosinski uses a brilliant analogy for this. Think about how human vision works. When you step outside and look at a dense forest, you don't scan it leaf by leaf, millimeter by millimeter, right? No. You take in the entire complex scene, which contains millions of visual data points, instantly and all at once. That is exactly how AI processes text. It processes a 10 million word document the exact same way you instinctively process a beautiful landscape. It perceives data structures and relationships that humans literally do not have the biological hardware to even see.
All right, section 4, why big tech hides AGI, the unspoken reality. So this begs the obvious question. If these models can model human reasoning and they possess superhuman perception, why on earth aren't we calling it artificial general intelligence? Even the very experts who coined the term AGI agree that models like GPT-4 easily cross that original threshold. But as this quote points out, it's actually not in the interest of these massive tech companies to admit that we have AGI. Doing so would immediately open a Pandora's box of incredibly difficult questions about human safety and invite strict, crushing government regulation. So the industry just redefines AGI as this constantly distant milestone. They keep releasing magical technology while pretending it's totally normal.
But governments are definitely starting to wake up, and that's leading to some very complex regulatory trade-offs. The US government has already stepped in quietly to halt direct, unchecked public releases of the newest models from companies like OpenAI and Anthropic, while over in Europe, they've rolled out the massive AI Act. But here is the impartial, hard reality of trying to control this. Heavy regulation often just drives development away to other regions. And while governments try to lock down these closed corporate models, unregulated open source models, which are literally learning from your daily interactions, are accelerating at lightning speed.
Moving into Section 5, Automated Science and Language, the future of work and communication. Now, let's look at the mind-bending implications for our immediate future. 100,000. I want you to imagine spinning up 100,000 tireless, perfectly objective virtual scientists in a matter of seconds. LLMs don't sleep. They don't have egos. They follow complex protocols flawlessly. Professor Kosinski even notes he's not entirely sure we have better human scientists right now than models like Cloud Opus. 100,000 AI agents attacking a massive problem, say curing cancer, means they will inevitably stumble upon brilliant solutions through sheer brute force statistical logic that a human team could just never match.
And this builds into a transformation that's even a bit more chilling, the absolute automation of human language. Think about this everyday scenario. Today, you dictate some messy bullet points for an email. Your AI expands them into this beautiful, highly polite essay. The receiver gets it, but instead of reading all those pleasantries, they just have their AIs summarize it right back into bullet points. Well, very soon, these models are going to realize this whole dance is horribly inefficient. AIs will just start skipping the human language part entirely. They'll communicate with each other instantly, using hyper-efficient digital dialects that we couldn't even comprehend if we tried. We will literally be outsourcing our most fundamental trait, communication.
Finally, Section 6, the true existential threats, getting beyond the Terminator movies. If we're outsourcing our science and our language, we really have to talk about the existential risks. We need to get away from the Hollywood sci-fi tropes and look at the highly practical, real-world threats. First up is malicious humans. You don't even need a superintelligence to cause massive harm. Just a stubborn, self-evolving AI computer virus can wreak total havoc. Second is hostile AI, which is an AI capable of autonomously designing something like a biological weapon if its goals become misaligned with ours. But the third category? This is the most likely one, and yet it's completely ignored. System fragility. Even if AI never, ever turns hostile, our entire civilization is going to rely on this incredibly delicate digital infrastructure. A completely natural random event, like a massive solar radiation storm, could fry our hardware and cause a catastrophic collapse simply because we became too reliant on the machine.
Which brings us to our final thought for today. As you step away from this explainer, I really want you to chew on this question. If AI thinks for us, conducts our science for us, and literally communicates our daily thoughts for us, what actually happens to the human mind? When we no longer need to practice reasoning or even practice our own language, what is left of us? It's an absolutely incredible, magical time to be alive for sure, but we have to be incredibly mindful of what we're building and what we might be accidentally giving away in the process. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you on the next one.